Alright, explain these mushroom people to me. You mean the Aminoko? Obviously the Aminoko. What are they? How do they exist? They're the result of a superpower from thousands of years ago from a guy who didn't understand how mushrooms work. There has to be a better story than just that. Oh yeah, there's a guy named Kashi about 10,000 years ago who was stuck on an island and really lonely, and there happened to be an Afrit around who saw him and was like, you know what? I'm gonna give that guy a superpower. And for some reason, instead of asking for a power that would get him off the island, he asked for a power that would make him less lonely. So he asked for mushroom people? Not exactly. He asked for the power to imbue items with parts of his soul. Parts of, you can just rip your soul apart? Kinda. But he basically used that power to bring things to life so he would have friends and could build a community. So Kashi was able to use his power to imbue parts of his soul into rocks and create builders, and he used it on driftwood and basically made farmers, and he slowly built a community of people that helped him survive on this island. But what about the mushroom people? Well, he noticed there was a mushroom, he used it on the mushroom and brought it to life, and they kind of became little trickster people with each other. Trickster people? Yeah, he had all his basic needs met with all the other things he imbued with his soul, so he decided to use the mushroom as like just a buddy, and they were basically pranking each other throughout the island. So he made a mushroom person, but you said there are mushroom people. So Kashi's ability to bring things to life worked with everything really well, except for when it came to mushrooms, and he made them a prankster, and all of a sudden there was tons of prankster mushrooms. Mushroom pranksters is a weird thing to think about. Well, weird or not, it becomes really hard to prank 40 people when you're used to pranking one. Okay, so is there a point to all this? Well, it turns out mushrooms reproduce by producing microscopic mushroom spores that can spread extremely easily because they're microscopic. Okay, and Kashi was still stuck on this island, but the mushroom spores, being microscopic, were able to spread across the world, and because they were sentient, they could outcompete and eventually evolved. Okay, so these Aminoko mushroom people are everywhere. I get that, but how are we getting to glowing eyes? Okay, so they had souls, legitimate souls, because he put part of his soul into the mushroom. And the problem with them is that over 13,000 years, they can kind of choose what they wanted to consume and grow out of. And 13,000 years for something that reproduces in like a week is a lot of evolution possibilities. They evolved? They evolved very well, and because they could choose their paths of evolution, families of these mushroom people eventually became a thing, and there's roughly about 12 to 16 of them as last we checked. Okay, so there's 12 versions of these mushroom people, and some of them have glowing eyes. So these mushroom people with souls eventually evolved to the point where they had enough of a soul to where they could actually ask for superpowers themselves. So these mushroom people with souls eventually evolved to the point where they had enough of a soul to where they could actually ask for superpowers themselves. And they got superpowers? Yes, but for some reason, one of the few things that didn't evolve out of them was their prankster habits, so they became very mischievous with their superpowers. Mischievous superpowered mushrooms. Yes, and the Aminoko you saw the other day evolved in the woods, and it got tired of humans getting in its space, so it asked for the superpower to have glowing eyes so it could scare them away. Like a cartoon? Actually, those cartoon like wolf eyes in the woods are actually based on these Aminoko. Somebody saw them in Japan one time, kind of worked it into the culture, and it kind of exploded more than the mushrooms themselves.